like bread. I like bread. I like bread. I like bread. I like bread. Do you like bread? I like bread. Do you like bread? I like bread. It's like a tiny mouth-sized bed. It's like a cloud inside your head. Could this be heaven? Am I dead? Cause it feels like heaven eating bread. Feels like heaven eating bread. Feels like heaven eating bread. It feels like heaven eating bread. I like bread. It's like a tiny mouth-sized bed. It's like a cloud inside your head. Could this be heaven? Am I dead? Cause it feels like heaven eating bread. Feels like heaven eating bread.
Here we go again, January number 7, which is about bread. And that concludes week 1 of January. Thank God. So let's take a look at the drums first. I got a contact instrument here called Concrete. I love this thing. Lots of crazy little percussive sounds, especially this one, Toy Box, has got lots of little things that I love to use. I don't use it very often, but I do love it. And I wish that more things sounded just like it. And just found some sounds that I liked and made a little drum loop. Yeah, cool, easy. Let's look at the chord. Chord is massive. I think this one is just like dimension expander, initialized patch, and a low pass filter. Yep, nothing to it. Is there even any? No, there's not even any unison spread on it. It's just a saw wave with some dimension expander on it. And that's all there is to that. Oh, and then there's a sample delay. I delay the one side by a random amount of samples and makes it sound wider. That's the Haas effect, H-A-A-S. Cool effect, makes things sound wide because I wanted the vocals in the middle. And I wanted the chord to not interfere with that. And there's not a lot going on in the track, so I figured, you know, make the chord wide. What's going on with the vocal? Anything special? Nothing special with the vocal. Little EQ, some RX7, gain. Just makes it 9 decibels louder. I need to fix this. I just keep importing it like this. Anyway, nice and loud. Some compression on it. It's just a random thing. Some alloy 2, another EQ. What's this EQ doing? Oh yeah, it cuts off the... Why do I always forget about this one? A little bump and a little cut off at the top. Camel Crusher, British Clean, and OTT at 21%. Gets this vocal sound.
I like bread. It's like a tiny mouth-sized bed.
So stupid. Yes. Okay, so we have a drop section.
Feels like heaven eating bread. It feels like heaven eating bread. I like bread. It's like a...
So everything that's happening here is I've just basically sung a double of the vocal, and I put the a phaser on it with OTT after it to pull up the phasing sound. And the sample delay to make it sound wider. I'll play it with and without the phaser so you can hear what the phaser sounds like.
I like bread, I like bread,
You kind of get like a phasing sound, which is good. And I wanted it to sound sort of weird and spacey. I doubled the chords, which are long sustained chords like this, into a second massive patch. So what's going on here is I've put an arpeggiator on it, and it's going up and down 2 octaves. Yeah, and it's just arpeggiating the chord. Yeah, I like that. Got some reverb on it, some OTT. Tremolo is moving it left to right over a span of 2 bars at a depth of 62%. Don't want it to go all the way left or right because, you know, it's for Instagram. I don't want to do anything crazy here. That's going to make it impossible to hear the sound for a second. It would be the wrong effect. So let's see. What do we have? Chord double with the arpeggiator. Oh, and then I beefed up the drums a little bit so you can see the loop continues, but I've taken a Sophie clap from Sophie's sample pack and put Camel Crusher and sample delay on it, make that nice and wide little clap. And then I've taken my kick from Massive. I actually imported it from one of the other Januaries because I like this kick. And you can hear just the drums here, how much that beefs it up. And so the overall effect between, like, initially the song is just like vocal and this little pad and the drum. And then just by adding an arpeggiator, doubling the vocal, putting a lot of reverb on the arpeggiator, putting a phaser on the vocal to make it sound spacey, and then beefing up the drums. Like, listen to the difference here. Oh, the other thing is an arrangement thing. The vocal is like very staccato here, and then when we go into this section, it's very long notes. And so it just makes the whole thing feel a lot bigger, even though there's really not a lot going on in the song.
Feels like heaven eating bread. Feels like heaven eating bread. Feels like heaven eating bread. It feels like heaven eating bread. I like bread. It's like a tiny mouse-sized bed. It's like a cloud inside your head. This be heaven and I'm feels like heaven eating bread. Feels like heaven eating bread.
And that's the song. And that's the whole song. I'll look quickly just at the chords here, because I like to... Here, I'll pull up the longer chords so you can see it better. So we have like a G major 6 kind of chord, and then we have like a B major 9 kind of chord, and then we have... What do we have here? This is like an E flat minor 7 over an A flat, which is sort of like an A flat dominant suspended. Nice little chord. And then we've got like a D flat major 9 here. And I kind of just felt these chords out. I'm not going to like pretend that I used a bunch of theory here. I just wanted them to sound sort of outside. And I wanted, actually I basically started with the that melody on top, and I just filled in chords underneath it, because I know that, you know, it feels like it's switching between minor and major. It feels like it's going from like the 3rd of A flat minor to the 3rd of A flat major at the end. So you have this little chromatic thing. Sounds a little outside, and I like it. It sounds like a suspended chord resolving, like if you had like an A flat sus4 going to an A flat major. But it doesn't do that. It goes from like an A flat suspended to like a D flat major 9. And I just like the way it sounds. I could probably try to explain it in terms of key, but I'm not going to bother, because I wasn't really thinking about it in terms of key. I was thinking about it in terms of melody and character. Like I knew that I wanted to follow this melody up on top, because that's what I had in my head initially. And I knew that I wanted it to have a certain outside character. And so though I could probably try to justify it in some way, that's not how I was thinking about it, and so it wouldn't really be fair to justify it in a way that I wasn't conceiving of it, and that I don't even conceive of it now. So anyway, that's the song. January 7, 2020. Bread.